This is Morena Libre on the mic. You are tuned in to Radio Feminista every Thursday at 2 p.m. for conversations, fresh perspective, and topics that speak to the feminist in all of us. Radio Feminista only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Welcome back. This is Morena Libre. You are tuned in to Radio Feminista. Thank you for being here. Today, we have el Dr. José Luis Cano.
Having me here.
You're welcome. Here, let me, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to introduce you. I'm just going to read your bio, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So el Dr. José Luis Cano holds a PhD in rhetoric and composition with a graduate certificate in women and gender studies. And he currently works in the Department of Writing and Language Studies at UTRGV. In addition to this role, he owns and operates Café Locura, which I really want to hear about. I thought it was real, but, an imaginary coffee shop with a digital footprint. Welcome, and thank you for accepting the invitation.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Okay, so I want to start us off with the question we ask all our guests who come on our show, right? I think it'll weave together a nice story with you and your work.
Mm-hmm.
So what does feminism mean to you?
To me, when I think about feminism, I think about the different women in my life and the way that they've shaped the way that I think, behave, and act. And so when I'm thinking about feminism, I just think, all right, I know people, my mom, my sister, my grandma.
Uh-huh.
I think that I should be including them in a central part of both my work and my personal life. And so when I'm thinking about feminism, I do think about those things. There needs to be an inclusion of those perspectives because I would be missing that perspective myself. And so I have to rely on other individuals, whether they're people or scholars, books, and just to kind of pick up on those practices and try to be just slightly better.
Slightly better.
Slightly better, not too much.
Not too much, huh? So I was in a conference a few years ago. I was at NWSA, National Women's Studies Association, and I was going around asking people like, hey, I started the show, and can you share some perspectives on like what does feminism mean to you, right? And one of them told me, it means raising better men.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah. She's an elder, so that makes sense, right? And because it's funny because my partner also thinks the same way as you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they putting your closest ties, right,
Mm-hmm.
at the forefront of that feminism.
Yeah, especially when I'm seeking like guidance or mentorship or some sort of direction, I think that's more toward my default. I look for either like people that are have a different perspective than I do, so that I can figure out what it is that I need to do better in those situations, whether it's like with my job, like doing the writing and the analysis,
Yeah.
or just any other like personal relationship.
Yeah.
So I think it's just intuitive.
You hear the voice in your head. There are voices in your head,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay, so tell us about your research. I want to know.
Yeah, in my research, I guess the shortest way I can say it is that I use the border geography to look at different educational dynamics, social dynamics, and legal dynamics.
Okay.
And so, in specific, right now, I'm very interested in looking at the rhetoric of immigration enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for that, I'll look at Supreme Court cases. I'll look at the border checkpoint, like the physical border checkpoint. And then to counteract that, because that gets really specific,
Mm-hmm.
I like to look at border rhetoric, or what I'm calling border rhetoric, what has been called border rhetoric. And that's where, for instance, La Llorona comes in. It's just oral traditions that are here found in the community, but also different ways of enacting the border, quote unquote border.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and photography is a large part of that.
I know.
Surprisingly, I did not start using photography until later, and it wasn't as a research tool. It was to teach better, and then it just transitioned over into research. And so now I use the camera to take photos of my research.
You take a lot of photos.
Yeah, sometimes when I have my camera on me, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And as an aspiring photographer myself,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I'm impressed. You've actually inspired me to like, oh, I need to grab my camera. Like every time I see you and you have your camera, I'm like, I'm being a
Yeah.
bad student, you know? Like,
Yeah. I think to kind of with the made up coffee shop, I also at some point made up my own like certifications for my photography. So I was like, all right, right now I'm an amateur level 1, and then I graduated myself to like amateur level 2, and right now I'm at intermediate level 3.
you're moving yourself up
Yeah.
in your own apprenticeship. Here, let me.
Mhm.
So okay, so you're a photographer, educator, and researcher,
Mhm.
right? Can you tell us a little bit about your journey, just your educational journey? I think students are really interested in, especially like our professors, right? Growing up and just kind of seeing them, or being in higher ed, you don't you interact with professors in class, but you really don't know how they got there,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's a really interesting story that we need to share more with our students.
Yeah, with my educational journey, I think it's very much grounded in my home values, and not to romanticize them, but I think it keeps me really centered into what I intend to do at different institutions, and education is one of those institutions.
Hmm.
And so, in terms of actual schools, I did start here back when it was UTBTSE,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then I took off to College Station A&M
Hmm.
because they offered better, not better, but more courses that align with Latina literatures, Chicano literatures.
Hmm.
At that point, I was doing English literature, and so I went that way to College Station. And there's a story behind that. I didn't let my parents know. Um, I cut off my financial aid at UTBTSE. I didn't register for courses because I was scared of them being like, especially my mom. She was gonna be like, "No te vayas," and she did do that. But then I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna work full time, or I'm like, and not go to school then if I don't go over there. And so I kind of just strong down her to letting me go.
¿Cuántos años tenías?
Ya tenía 42, no,
Ay.
no tenía como 19, 20, 20.
Ah,
Se
estaba
me hace que tenía
chiquillo.
20.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ajá. And then, yeah, so I went over there, and it was the right choice to make. And so, but then I came back, worked a little bit, and then I decided that I would benefit from a master's degree,
Hmm.
particularly to go work with a professor over there at Texas State who's also from the Valley, recently retired. And so I went over there, I finished up, and I mean, not that finished up, it was smooth, it was like, a little kind of
Yes.
tough.
I know, I bet.
Yeah, and then I came back again, I worked for a little bit more full time, and then I decided once again that I needed, I just felt like compelled to finish the PhD. However, when I finished the master's degree, I was kind of just tired of school. I was like, I don't need this anymore. I don't want to have those engagements where I consistently have to assert myself in these different spaces. And so because of that experience, I thought, okay, I'm done with that. I don't need to put myself through that again.
Yeah.
And then I changed my mind.
And you changed
Yeah.
because you went back to work.
Yeah, because
Right?
I was like, work. I was like, God damn. Like, is this what this is about? I was like, yeah. Like, I was working as a high school teacher and then as a researcher. And then I was like,
Nope.
no, this is not
Nope.
the lifestyle I want right now.
Nope.
And so, yeah, that's when I decided to go back to school. And I moved away again to Fort Worth. And yeah, I was over there about 5 years. 1 year during the pandemic, so I came back down. And yeah, now I'm back home.
How long? So what was your PhD on? Like, how did your research start?
My research started. I guess the formal research for me, or some semblance of a research question, started when I was working at the high school right after my undergraduate degree, because I was helping students write their college admissions essays, and it was interesting to see how they would compose themselves in these essays, and then for me, kind of knowing or making inferences about what I anticipated an admissions committee to want from these students.
Okay.
Specifically with this idea of like hardship
Yes.
and I don't know, just going through an obstacle or something like that.
The trauma porn
Yeah,
that we've
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, that.
yes.
And it was really tough for me to kind of say like, some students would be like, I haven't gone through anything, like, and I was like, you hear how they talk about the valley, like.
Yeah.
Like, they think you're going through it all. And maybe they had. They just, this just seems normal to people because people are experiencing similar things, conditions, both material, psychological, emotional. And so I can say that that's one of those moments where I thought there's something happening here, some semblance of a disconnect. Not for the students, but for the admissions committee to expect those type of like essays. And again, that was just from my own perspective on those issues.
No, it's. I think there's already some research
Okay.
written on it
Mhm.
where it's. What are we? What are they expecting?
Mhm.
Right? Why are they expecting these stories of hardship? Although it's already shifting.
Mhm.
I mean, just they want more. Not
Mhm.
they don't just want to hear the. Or they don't want to just be reading that. I think in particular schools, but there's an expectation,
Mhm.
unfortunately, right, of especially students of color,
Mhm.
that there's you have to have gone through something, right? And it's but then how we train, or how high schools, right, or mentors advise students that that's what they have to present,
Mhm.
right? So it's really complex and messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm remembering,
Yeah.
like, when I was in high school, there was a school that asked me to go visit them,
Mhm.
and so I didn't know that we're doing an interview on the spot, like for admissions,
Mhm.
and I will say that was the first time I was on a flight, and
Oh,
so
really?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm fancy, like it's paid for,
Yeah.
and but that was one of the questions too, and I had forgotten about it until I kind of came back to work full time, and I was like, oh yeah, that's happened before. But there was an admissions counselor who said, I can't remember the exact question, but essentially asking, based on your cultural background, what are you bringing to the school? I didn't know how to articulate that stuff.
Oh.
I was like, I have no clue. I just went with the stereotypes. So I was like, but I just wasn't like, I had never been asked that question,
Uh-huh.
and even now, I'm not sure. I wouldn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting at that point,
Yeah.
and I ended up not going there. It just felt funky. Like when I was walking around, I was like, I do not fit in here.
Where at?
It's a Swarthmore.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was
Yeah.
like no.
Yeah, I should have followed my instinct too when I moved to Utah, but I didn't.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so okay. So then that started to generate questions for you.
Yeah, back when I was working with the students.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, I have issues with that, and I feel the same way when we ask students to write about their experiences. I mean, although I'm not in your field,
Mhm.
but from just a interdisciplinary perspective, I always feel awkward asking them to write such intimacies
Mhm.
because I feel that I'm not I'm not going to be well equipped to read or to understand their trauma, right, or whatever it is that they want to write about.
Mhm.
I also feel like I don't always feel that like like, oh well, I didn't go through anything
Yeah.
like traumatic, right? I'm talking from a student. Maybe some students have told me like I've had it good.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's their perspective, right?
Mhm.
So then I start like asking them, well, why don't you interview your parents or grandparents or just some family members, right? Because yeah, and that requires a lot of work.
Mhm.
That 16 weeks for me, it doesn't do it justice.
I hadn't thought about it like that. So I'll have to think because I've relied actually like as kind of like a Chicana feminist staple, I was like, personal experience comes big into it. And so I've taken that approach, but I hadn't considered what you're presenting here. So I would have to think about that a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm only telling you this because I've experienced it
Mhm.
with students right here. I've been here I'm starting my 5th year,
Mhm.
and I've gotten, those are the anecdotes that I get from students, like, no, I don't, and then some are like, I don't feel like sharing
Mhm.
this, right? And I understand, like, it's the writing piece too, right? And that comes with time. So yeah, it's a lot to think about, I think.
I think in terms of experiences, one of the things that I did consider before was when um, when the literature is not up to par. I think, based on what I've observed in my own experiences of schooling, the instructor might say, "Well, use your experience," and then it kind of to me showcases the limitations of like this big theory, that people really like a lot, and the limitations it would have on a specific student demographic. And so I had thought about the experience in that perspective, but not this other one.
Yeah, yeah. So the research. Okay, so then, so from there, how did you develop that over time? How have you developed that over time?
The latest iteration for me, were the biggest with the time consumption that I'm doing right now, is definitely
Time.
trying trying to put together immigration enforcement in La Llorona. And it started because of an educator, a professor of mine when I was in doctoral work,
Mm-hmm.
that got me into a black feminist who was teaching me on carceral scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was reading that in her course, it just so happened that I was going through the border checkpoint, and I was like,
Oh.
shit, again. And at this
Mm-hmm.
point, I was like, I'm fed up with this stuff. But that seems pretty common before, because you're just like, oh, like,
You didn't question it
right.
because you have privilege, right?
Yeah.
To be able to cross
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
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 And so it just seemed normal, like, oh, you're going up to San Antonio or something, like, you're going to go through the checkpoint, you're going to stop, and then just keep going.
It's very normalized for
Mhm.
us. Yeah.
And so when I was reading that scholarship, I thought, okay, something is going on here, because this shouldn't be normal. And then from that, I started doing the research on the border checkpoints and how fragile the federal documents are when it relates to that. Like, just very,
What do you mean by fragile?
this whole, from my perspective, this whole idea of immigration enforcement is based on this idea of reasonable grounds to believe. And to me, that's such a broad range of perspectives that could bring in different belief systems.
Mm.
And yet we have this big federal entity that is founded on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I tie in La Llorona, because La Llorona is also based on beliefs and belief systems. But before getting to La Llorona, I was going through these federal documentations for a year and a half, and at some point I thought, wait, I'm becoming an expert in immigration enforcement. Like I don't want to do that. Like, I thought I came to learn about the valley.
I don't want to work in criminal justice.
Yeah.
That's what you...
And it was getting me. I could feel it. I could feel that I would be upset sometimes with the research, or would be draining me.
Mm.
And so I was like, I need to shift this a little bit. Like, how do I respond to this?
Mm-hmm.
And then it just so happened, and I don't even remember how this came about. But then I was like, La Llorona. And so I feel like she appeared. Like,
Se te apareció
yeah.
La
Is that-
Llorona.
Because I don't remember, like, how that, like, even now I'm just like, how did that connection happen? And then, I don't know. And then, but then I went to the archives here at UTRGV,
Mm-hmm.
and there's versions of La Llorona told by Border Patrol agents.
Mm.
And so that's really interesting to me, because they never catch her. And I think it's funny.
Se les escapa.
Yeah.
But what did they see? I'm interested in that. What did you read?
So, the Border Studies Archive has different like folk tales is what I think they're calling them,
It's
oral
under folk.
legends.
Yeah.
And they have about 1,400 that are dedicated to La Llorona.
La Llorona.
And so it was students from the university from the 1970s up to 2003, I think, that were collecting those narratives from friends, family members, acquaintances, and so when I was just reading through her narratives, there's the traditional stuff where it's like, the woman gets left by the husband,
Mm-hmm.
and out of a moment of madness is a common word that's used there.
Madness.
Mm-hmm.
En inglés.
They have
Both.
English
In
and
Spanish. Okay.
She drowns her kids, and now she's looking for kids to replace, or she's looking for her kids. Along the way, she's taking other kids to replace her. But then there's also different variations where, for my own interest, in the late 1990s, the husband leaves to chase the American dream, and so there's like permutations where migration starts to creep into the narratives.
Mm.
Along those times is when, or early 2000s, with the increase of border patrol, then they also make their way into the narrative.
Wow.
And so, by being the storytellers themselves.
Yeah.
And so, I thought it was really interesting how La Llorona's tradition kind of like now absorbed this.
Borderlands.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was really fascinated by that. It was just captivating, and that one had different feelings. Like when I was working with immigration enforcement, because I did have to go up to like the border checkpoints, and I would take photos there. That was just fear, like okay, something might happen. With La Llorona, I was just scared because she's La Llorona. I was just like, oh, I hope I don't do anything, and so that's how that started or it progressed. It was first immigration enforcement and the rhetoric of immigration enforcement, and then at some point I felt I need to have a response that feels more closer to home.
Mm-hmm.
For me, even though that response is not the clearest response or the nicest, because I feel like she does undermine in the narratives that they tell. But at the same time, she's scary. Like I can't let go of the when I first heard her as a kid. Like she's there to take you. Like that's still there.
Yeah. O sea, como que todo te da miedo. Que a ver si se te aparece.
Yeah.
Por si se te aparece. Apareces. Yeah. It's real though, right? I grew up with La Llorona too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, I felt like the archives weren't enough, and I started making dolls.
Oh.
And so that was another like weird thing for me.
Why? Why weird?
Weird because I was like, I've never made dolls. But it's not, when I say make dolls, it's not like I'm making them from scratch. Like initially I was gonna look for like a used doll, and I was like,
Okay.
wait, I watched scary movies. Like I don't want to get one that's on.
You watched it too much or something,
Yeah.
or those other ones? Yes.
Yeah. And I was like-
Chucky, no.
I was like, this is the beginning of a scary movie. And so then I ended up just buying like regular Encanto dolls because they had the skin complexion that I wanted.
Oh.
And then out of that.
So it came out around that time? Like you started thinking about this around that time?
But I don't know when that movie came out, but it was definitely after that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so maybe these ideas were coming out in 2020, 2021, somewhere
Okay.
around there. And then yeah, and that was a whole different process for me because I did consider it research. I'm not like a doll maker. I
Mhm.
just think this is research for me.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because I didn't have the networks to kind of like for the dress. I didn't have the skill to make the dress,
Mhm.
so I had to ask help from a costurera. My mom had those networks. I didn't.
Mm.
And so I had to reach out to my mom and be like, Ma,
Mhm.
necesito una costurera para que haga un vestido de la Llorona.
Mhm.
And so I had to come back to the valley to get that done.
Okay.
Because I don't know where I would have gone in Fort Worth. There are some like Mexican American communities, but it was just so easy here. Like,
Well, yeah.
Like to just to go up to a costurera and be like, quiero un vestido de la Llorona, and they're like, yeah, sure.
Ah.
Instead of having to explain like who she is, how she looks. That was really interesting too, because I didn't explain what I wanted. I was just like, well, here's the material. Like, however you imagine La Llorona, like that's fine with me. And it was
Mhm.
really shared composition.
Yeah, yeah,
And so it was really cool. And that made me feel better about the research process, where just looking at immigration enforcement alone was draining.
Emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
You weren't enjoying the route it was taking you.
No, at the beginning, I mean, I do find it useful and necessary to understand the legal components of those things from a rhetorical stance.
Mhm.
So that's the only thing that I do from a rhetorical analysis stance. I do think that's necessary, but yeah, at some point I thought, what's the angle with this stuff? And so I needed to find some sort of outlet or some sense of hope, because
Mhm.
it does get kind of like dark in my mind.
Yeah.
I prefer the darkness from La Llorona than this other
I
darkness.
know. I'm thinking like, wait a minute, but La Llorona.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but it's like I think you said it right. It's
Mhm.
something you're familiar with.
Mhm.
Yeah, and kind of grounds you. Um, I want to talk more about La Llorona,
Mhm.
and your research, especially when it starts to intersect with feminist work.
Mhm.
I think that would bring a good, you know, um, perspective, right, of especially La Llorona.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're going to take a music break, and here you're going to listen to Jill Scott. Welcome back. This is Morena Libre. You are tuned in to Radio Feminista, and with us today is el doctor José Luis Cano. I love how like this, José Luis Cano. Okay, so we were just talking while during the music break about just what that immigration research was doing, right, and how you were I guess internalizing it, right? It's research,
Mhm.
but how you had to switch to, or you found something that grounded you
Mhm.
in La Llorona. So I grew up listening to La Llorona all the time. Like, like en Matamoros. Yo vivía en Matamoros un tiempo con mi familia. Ahí nací. And there was this neighbor who would always be talking about La Mano Pachona, La
Mhm.
Llorona, uh, todo, ¿verdad?
Mhm.
Asustándonos. And I was up here, I was walking out one night by Zabal. And I mean, we're on land that there's been wars here. There's a lot of violence on the border, right? We know that. So there's ghosts, right? I mean, like, or spirits, right? Like, we know. I like to call them spirits. I think ghost has a white,
Mhm.
it's a white perspective, right? So I'm walking out, I'm getting picked up, and I'm going to go set just put my stuff down so that they can show up and pick me up. And I turn around and I look, down between the library and Zaval, right? I look and I see this figure, like a woman walking, but it was at night, and it just felt, it didn't feel scary, but I'm like, why is she wearing such a flowy dress?
Mhm.
And it looked transparent, like the light from the flagpole was like really coming through. Y yo seguí caminando, soy bien distraída, right? So, so I probably would have stopped and said hi, right? But I was in a hurry. So como siempre. So then I walk, right? And I'm like, it just didn't feel, so me dejó algo, right?
Mhm.
So I turn around and I'm carrying a bunch of stuff, right? And I turn around and there was no one there anymore. But I kept walking as I was turning around, y me caí. Because it just threw me off. So I fell on the bushes, en el cenizo. And I was like, my partner picked me up and I said, something weird just happened. Like, it just lingered, right? And I still, like, I can see her. I don't know who that was or what it was, right? But it just, I always think of how we grew up listening to these stories, and why wouldn't it be true, right? We're on wars, right? This land has gone through a lot.
When you had that encounter, what is the feeling? Is there a difference in the feeling that you had when you were going through the encounter and the feeling that you have now as you reflect back on it, or is it still?
I laugh now. I mean,
Okay.
well, I was even then like I didn't feel.
Mhm.
It didn't feel scary. Like I wasn't scared or anything. Didn't feel threatening or it just something felt off, right? Like just something wasn't like what my investigative mind started to kick in. Like, why is that person wearing such a flowy dress at night? And then how quickly she disappeared from. I mean, I was only a few steps away when I turned around and no one was there anymore. And I'm like, where the hell? Like, what happened? Where is she? And it was a she, right? And then I even looked. I'm like, did she go inside? But it was too quick. Like she was really far away. She couldn't have made it that quickly. I don't know. It just felt off, and I think, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I grew up with it. Is it something that you try to rationalize things, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think we all try to rationalize La Llorona. That's why there's so much research on her. Not enough, but there is a lot, and I think I think it's. Thank you for asking me. I hadn't really thought about that. Why? Why did you ask?
I was just curious. I feel like based on the readings of the archives, people just have different associations to La Llorona, and so emotional ones, or even those like some narratives in those archives where people had first-hand experience of that. Others were they heard it from someone else, and there was also mixed feelings on like do you believe it's true? No. Do you believe it's true? Yes. And
Oh,
so,
like no in between, no like not like me trying to rationalize.
well, it's because there was one question in the back of those forms that was asking the person that collected the story if they believed it, and so it wasn't the storyteller that was saying whether they believed it or not. It was the person that heard it.
Oh.
And so that's where it was just most of them were just a yes or a
A
no,
yes or a
and
no.
I think maybe I wouldn't know how many would be like I don't see why not, something like that. Like, maybe. And so, but I like that component about it or not too. Like that some folks are just like she doesn't exist, and other folks are just like yeah she does, and it just makes her that much more complex.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the more I've gotten older and just doing some of my schooling here, it was just this constant discussion that I would hear about La Llorona, and then when I left to Utah, I felt not like Llorona in particular, right? But just I felt like I had left my magical place. Like my home place is a magical place for me, and I felt like being like I entered a. Have you seen that movie? Not that it happened to me, but we always laugh about it. Get Out.
A while ago, I don't remember too much about it, but yeah.
Well, how he tried to he was about to be killed by the white family who he was, who was he was. Remember that movie? You remember that, right?
Is it Utah or what?
Yes. Traía mis santos, right? So then we started doing some research on botanicas in Utah just so that I could feel like, okay, like magic travels, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're at. We bring it with us.
Did you, while you were up, well, how long were you up there?
I was there for 12 years.
Oh, that's a while.
It was a long
That's
time.
more than 11 years.
Yeah.
Were you able to encounter any of those, not specific to La Llorona, but maybe La Llorona, any of those narratives while you were there? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we were with, we hung out a lot with a lot of Chicanos from California. They became our family up in Utah. So a little bit through them, but they don't talk about it like the way we do. Like I think for us, there is always this magical component in our conversation and our discussion with whomever. And I find it because my research is in gardens, with gardens and healers. So maybe it's me, right? Maybe I'm carrying around that conversation and that magic in my head all the time. So it feels awkward when I'm pulled out of it or when I don't hear it as much. so I didn't hear. I mean, they do talk about it. They mostly make fun, but but in la comunidad, I mean, there were a bunch of botánicas. They call them botánicas over there. There's different names to them, but a lot of them were from Centro America. Some of them were from Centro America, so not necessarily. But the Mesoamerican diaspora, right? Yeah, it was quite a bit. So yeah, no, I mean, we got to. They're really no te dejan entrar, right? Like they're just like, what do you want? Like, no, we're not gonna do research with you. Or,
Yeah.
so it was gonna take me quite a bit to like really understand that there. But yeah, I don't remember experiencing though, like I think I was more concerned about whiteness than I was about quién me va a venir a jalar los pies en la noche, right? You know, so although they could mean the same thing, right? I understand it differently here than I did over there.
Yeah, I share that sentiment, but I also like what you mentioned earlier about like a certain magic to it. I like to, I don't call it magic. I just like I started using a lot of the slash stuff,
Oh yeah.
and so now I think supernatural worlds.
Oh,
And so I
okay.
do the super
The
/ natural.
Yeah.
And then like when I'm writing, I kind of write in a way where I leave it up to the reader to figure out is this something that's natural or is this something that's supernatural to you, and so that I can exist in both worlds.
Yeah.
And so I really connected with that magic stuff. I'm like, yeah, why not? Like.
Well, I get it from my mom though, because she would always tell me growing up. She's like, "Yo quiero que sepas que hay magia en el mundo." So that's always stuck in my head. So, and then now, right, we know like where magic is. It's a Eurocentric perspective, but I get where she was coming. I get where she's coming from. But you know, because it was land based, right? For us, right? It's more land based than, you know, but there is that supernatural component.
I have a question.
Mande.
So
You're turning around that this is my show.
And they put some music on.
That's not the same one every week.
A different song.
Go ahead.
So then, while you're up there in Utah, did your writing voice change because of the context?
Oh, definitely. I have a piece in. I was invited to write a chapter for El Doctor de Monpeña. He's an Chicano environmentalist, and I was struggling writing it over there. And at that time, I was doing my field work. So, and I had just had Draco, and he's my youngest. So I moved over here to start the field work. And I was trying to write that piece over there, and it was so theoretical. Like it was just like jargon, you know. It was very jargony, and I was trying to bring in María Lugones and just ahorita se me está yendo la onda. But you're right. Thank you. Gracias. And then I would come out when I would come to Bronzeville. I mean, I was here and I didn't have childcare, so my grandmother was helping me because my mom at the time she hadn't retired yet. So I'm like, Mami, I'm going to leave, because I called her Mami. I'm like, Mami, me voy a ir un ratito a Starbucks, and because there was no other coffee shop at that time. I mean, there were, but, you know. So I would spend like a good few hours there, and it was just different. I wrote that piece here in Starbucks. And the prose is different. I was able to express myself a lot differently than I would have in Utah. It's just in Utah I wasn't writing. It didn't help. I couldn't write down there or up there, I should say.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely get what you're saying there. There's something about just changing locations and being like home, or with maybe not just home, but being in the valley. when I was away, even though I wasn't too far away, it's just like a 9 hour drive. It did feel like a very different context, and I felt like it was bringing out this other side of me that is not me. And I mean, sure, it's me, but I was like, that's not me. Like, usually,
You mean living up there?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I could tell, not just in my writing, but even my behavior, I felt like I need to speak up about certain things. And I don't consider myself somebody that speaks up all the time. I'm just like, let me just go with the flow of things. So just being in a different context was affecting both like my behavior, but also my writing voice. And so being back in the valley, back in Brownsville, I am trying to get back to like, all right, what writing voice do I have now when I'm surrounding with bike community, both family members, friends, and just places. So I'm still trying to figure that out though.
You're still in the process.
Yeah, through the process.
Well, wait, because you just got back, right? This is your second year.
I'm starting my second year.
You're starting your second year.
So
Okay.
it sounds like a long time though, but it feels like it went by really quick. But yeah, it's already like, people are like, ya llevas 2 años, güey. Yeah, like, get over it.
Have you moved up yet?
And so, yeah, even though
Does your family constantly ask you, are you getting paid for that?
like I had to. Well, mom, she goes, like, when she sees me working, she goes, ¿Estás estudiando, mijito?
Sí.
I'm like, dang it, like, I'm working. But it's because it looks the same.
It does.
It's like, it makes sense, yeah. Like, I'm still just reading a book.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
I'm still just writing.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing that I'm doing differently, except that I have a different title now. And
Yeah.
so...
Yeah.
And so then I had to be like, well, like, I'm working.
I went through this stage where I had to set boundaries because, and you know, boundaries don't exist in families sometimes, right? Like it's hard to establish boundaries, especially in a multi-generational home. And I've had to establish boundaries. And my mom and I have talked about this. Like we've had to establish boundaries for ourselves because she's retired, has worked her entire life, and she retired, I think it's 3 years ago. So, you know, we see each other, but I'm working, but because I come out of the room, I go to the kitchen, and then she was like, "Me puedes ayudar con esto? Me puedes," you know, like we start getting distracted, right? Or like, not me, but she, and then her too, right? Like she's busy, she has things to do, she's learning Japanese. No, yes, I think. Korean. I don't know. She's learning and ahorita se me fue la onda otra vez. So yeah. Okay, so tell us about your, like, you mentioned, the reason I invited you is because you have an event coming up. And, well, and also to talk to you, right, about your research. But I want you to tell us about the event, the exhibit. You currently have one going on here in the Brownsville Library, correct?
Yeah, it's an exhibit with the intersectional. There's 2 exhibits.
Okay.
So there's 2 displays there at the UT RGV Brownsville Library. One of the exhibits is called Human Expressions, and that one was created by the Intersectional Feminist Student Organization.
Okay.
And so what they were trying to bring out was trying to showcase the multitudes of students that inhabit the university. And so they did through a photographic medium.
Okay.
And then the other one that I posted up is called Muñequitos de la Llorona. And so I have the 3 dolls that I created on display there at the library. And we are holding a reception for it on October 1st from 2 to 3. We will have pastries and coffee.
Pastries.
Pastries and coffee. I put pan dulce. But
Pan dulce?
Well,
No.
it's because just the way that logistics worked out.
Yeah.
I had to get pastries.
Oh.
So,
Así que no, el pan no.
I had put pan dulce at the beginning, and then I had to go back and change it because I was like, I don't want people to think they are going to get pan dulce. And then all of a sudden it's a muffin. I was like, let me change
Un
that.
Danish.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the other one that's called? I always see them like in movies, and people mention them, and I still kind of like forget what they're called. Macaroons.
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 Oh, yes. And I don't like them, but my
Yeah.
kids do. And I'm like, and they're expensive.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, they're hard to make. I don't know.
Well, I don't know anything, but I hear of the macaroons, and then I'm just like, okay, yeah. Like I don't think I've even tried them, but that's what I feel when I put pastries. We're having macaroons.
We're having tea
Yeah. Yeah.
and sandwiches.
Yeah.
I think that's what they call them in Europe or something like that. Yeah. So how did so there's two different exhibits, but they're both at the library.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the third floor of the library.
Okay. Okay.
And, but the reception is going to be on the second floor, though.
Okay. Are you excited? Your
Yeah.
lloronas are getting attention.
Well, they were getting attention from me all the time, so. I'm excited that they're outside of my office at this point, because I had them in my office on my shelf just like for the whole of last year.
Yeah.
And even over the summer. And even though it's nice to have the dolls there, it's again like sometimes it's creepy. Like
I don't know how you can have them in your office, but it's your work. You understand it's your context.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I don't even acknowledge them. I just go by. Other times I'm just like, did you move? Like what happened here? Like,
but yeah, you're with your muñecas the way with your lloronas the way I'm with my plants.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Did you all move? Did something happen? Yeah. Okay.
So I'm excited that they're out of the office for a little bit, and yeah, and then, I mean, I did put some like scholarship that ties in with that. So for instance, Lorenza Lua has her children's book.
Oh yeah.
Prietita La Llorona.
Yeah.
It's a bilingual children's book, where she reframes La Llorona as a guiding entity for Prietita, and then Domino. I might get her last name wrong. Domino Perez at UT Austin. She has the book called There Was a Woman, maybe? No, I don't remember the name, but it's also there on the display, just so that I could connect the las muñequitas with scholarship that maybe students are interested in.
So you call them muñequitas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Muñequitas, dolls. I mean, I just exchange.
Yeah. And then in your photography, I noticed that you put them you put them in different places.
Mm-hmm.
Like one is by the border fence. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then that's the one that stood out to me the most. Mm-hmm. And then what does that mean though?
I was trying to, my intent was to juxtapose, I mean, very straightforward, it would be to complicate the border and the narrative of immigration enforcement, or the rhetoric of immigration enforcement. So I was trying to put a community rhetoric juxtaposed against this big entity, the back. And so from a photography standpoint, I was trying to blur the background. And make La Llorona's face in sharp focus, so that it would be so that she would be the main character in the photography. And yeah, I put her there so that was the intent. But I think again the dolls have a life of their own.
Yes.
And so while I was doing that, because I did go to the border fence that is right behind where I went to elementary at Garden Park, and go Tigers. And that's the only school I have a lot of pride in for some odd reason.
You're elementary.
You went to Garden Park, bro. We're classmates for life. And then I did put her also up against the river. And that one, by the time I came back, there was like 4 Border Patrol units that were waiting. And so there's stories that kind of come up as I was doing that type of research. Yeah. Of just trying to take the photographs at these different sites. The border checkpoint was another one. That one I kind of more expected, because I'm just like, yeah, they're going to think something's off. And what helped me out, though, was this idea of like irrationality that is also associated to La Llorona. Like, they were just like, what is this guy doing taking photos of a doll? Like, is he not in his right mind?
The madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just went with that. So I was just like, all right, well, I need to get out of here now. Bye. And so, yeah, and then, but what it also showcased, because I did go to the area where the migrants got run over.
Yes, over there by la calle, digo, Ozonam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I placed her there,
Ozonam, yeah.
and then I saw also the community response though. Like there was a dude that was driving, and I don't know what was like. He just seemed angry. Also, because there was two guys crossing the road. I feel like he tried to run over them. I was like, what the hell, dude? Did a U-turn, and also read this engine, like, because the sidewalk is super close right there.
Yeah.
And I was on the sidewalk, read this engine, and I was like, what's happening here? And so, even though I do use La Llorona as like what I would consider a community rhetoric, I consistently think, okay, this is a dark force, like in a good way and a bad way, because here is this doll showing me this other community response, and so it was interesting to do that type of research because I was not anticipating those responses, except the border checkpoint. That one I was like, okay, this is risky.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, mainly because of the amount of, yeah, right? Like,
Mhm.
yes, it's a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah. But that one was really interesting. The one on, I think is it Austin Road? I forgot the name of the road. Right behind the airport.
Yeah, I don't remember the name. I don't
Yeah.
really don't know the area.
But it's
so-
where the
Mhm.
where the refuge is at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we ran out of time.
Okay.
But you need to come back
Mhm.
whenever you feel like you want to chat
Okay.
about more of the Llorona.
Yeah.
You're welcome to, or anything you would want to talk about, our moms or something, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
You're welcome to come back.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for having me here.
Yeah. Any last words?
Ay, mis hijos.
I miss you. Nice touch. Okay, everyone. Well, I want to thank el Dr. Jose Luis Cano for being with us here today. I hope you learned quite a bit or a different take, right, on La Llorona and in relation to immigration enforcement, right? Okay, so we will be back next week. Thank you for spending the afternoon with Radio Feminista. And thanks again, Dr. Cano. And see you next week, same time and same song. I probably played this one last week too. So thank you, everyone. Bye.